Well, hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. My name is Amy, and I will be with you for the show today. And we're starting off with the adorableness for the day of two squirrels here at Tuma. How cute are they? I don't know if it's a cooler day today or not, but it does look like they are enjoying the comfort of one another. Earlier, they were even lying on top of each other, which was even more adorable. And remember that this is, of course, a live and interactive show. So if you wish, please do say hello to me. I'd love to hear from you, who you are, where you're watching from, what you're looking forward to about the show today, maybe what you're hoping to see. Otherwise, any points of interest or things that you'd like to find out or share with me, I'd love to hear that. And you can send those through on the Wild Earth app or the website. You can also chat to us on YouTube or join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth. Now, I must say, these two look like little ones. Squirrel babies. Are they called pups? I must actually check. They're part of the rodent family. Nadine's directing us today, and she says they're called cuteness. That is their term. So, I mean, we can make it official, basically. I think they are just so cute. They look like two squirrel babies. And they would have been possibly born in the hollow of this, what looks like a marula tree, and are staying very close there today. And you'll see that there is some wire mesh behind these squirrels. Of course, that is not something that naturally occurs in the bush, but it's part of research and conservation efforts around marula trees to see if this mesh wire around the sort of bottom half of the trunk of these trees will deter elephants from pushing them over. Marulas are protected trees in South Africa. They're very slow growing trees and a very important part of the ecosystem and tree that we'd like to keep standing if possible. And because elephants do tend to push them over to reach the fruit or the leaves or different parts of bark, or sometimes bulls are just a little bit boisterous, it seems to be that with this sort of bit of mesh around, although in no way will that actually be strong enough to withhold an elephant from pushing it over, it does seem to be a deterrent, something that they're not sure of, and so they move on to a different tree. Hello, Brazen Hearted and Mercedes Bean. You are both saying hello and happy Tuesday. This is a cuteness overload. It really is, isn't it? And their ears almost seem bigger than normal squirrel ears just because they are little ones. They still need to grow into their ears. Good up. You're sending blessings to everyone. Thank you so much. That is wonderful to have and to hear from you today. And so to see babies now is correct. It's the right time. Tree squirrels breed every season they sort of mate around August time and then give birth in October and November. So with it being November now, these ones could be a few weeks old already. Well, they will be. They've already got fur and are moving around. It doesn't seem like they're venturing too far from home just yet. Catherine, hello. Lovely to hear from you as well. I know Nadine also appreciates you saying hello. Spice, yes, this is a very cute start to the Waterhole show today. And these tree squirrels are just adorable. Oh no, that was adorable. Did everyone see that little yawn? Oh, Chinooks. That's one of my favorite cute words to use. Oh, there's another stretch and a yawn. This is what I was talking about earlier. They were snuggling, and now we've got them snuggling again. Oh, but they've got like little lips as well that are still pink. They really are just little babies. These are probably litter mates. Oh, that one's found a little nut or something to chew on. Maybe mom left them a snack. And a big part of squirrels and what they do is grooming, whether it's each other or themselves, and also being affectionate with one another. That sort of closeness. Oh, looks like the one on the left's getting a little bit snoozy. Oh, there's another very cute yawn. Yes, brazen hearted. The yawn is contagious. And then the other one yawned as well. It was a very cute. And all of a sudden, they've decided to wake up. And I've just checked that the collective noun for a group of squirrels is a scurry of squirrels, which I think is quite appropriate because they move very quickly and they do scurry around quite a lot. You can imagine as a baby squirrel, they've still got so much to get used to out here in the big wide world. And so I don't think they'll venture too far from their nesting hole, which I think is the cavity that's just below this one. Probably stick very much around this tree for now. Oh, there's another one. I wonder if that's the one that left earlier. You can see it was inside that cavity there. This is just getting cuter and cuter. Well, we have had an adorable start here with these squirrels. Oh, it's going for the ant. Did you see it? They do sometimes eat insects, even though they are, for the most part, herbivorous or eat a lot of seeds and fruits and nuts and things like that. But that was very cute. Well, we are going to let these squirrels carry on and head over to a giraffe that's made its way to Gnu Pan. It's always special for me to visit Mabula, and it's a place where I've spent quite a bit of time doing drives and filming for our live drives. And I know that Ben and BK are here at the moment and enjoying their time, their stint that they have here at the moment as well. But it's wonderful to have a camera here and be able to see some of the special things that pop by at this particular spot. And this looks like a female giraffe that has come down here for, well, it looks like a snack at the moment. I'm hoping that she decides that she needs something to drink as well. And that's purely just based on looking at the horns on top of her head, how fluffy they are, and a little bit skinny as well in comparison. Oh, do apologize, everyone. We lost the feed there, but we've come back over to Juma where there are some impalas that have come to drink. Looks like that female is yet to drop her lamb. Actually, still has to get a little bit bigger. She's bulging, but she's not huge. Looks like that baby might only be born in December. Jess, you have a question about giraffes, if their ossicones are all the same length? No, absolutely not. So they're round about the same size. I mean, I've never seen a giraffe with abnormally long ossicones at all, or extremely short ones. So they're roughly the same. Males tend to have longer ones than females, but sometimes males tend to have much thicker ones than females. But sometimes males, they get worn down over time, so they do become a little bit shorter. Sometimes you've got one that's shorter than another one, but in general they are round about the same length. So much life around the waterhole here today. We've got some female inyalas. You can see those are the ones with the stripes down the side. A little bit bigger than an impala. Well, we are going to try head back over to Mabula where there is a herd of sable that have come to drink. Well, it seems to be that this herd is hanging out around Gnu Pan at the moment, which I'm very happy about. And also seems to be about the time of day that they like to come and have a drink. And just look at that bull there. You can see how he stands a little bit taller than the others and how magnificent his set of horns are. Sable are one of the rarer antelopes in South Africa, and I've seen them twice in the Greater Kruger, well actually in the Kruger National Park. And there was a time where apparently the records about, let's say, maybe 60 years ago, 60 to 70 years ago, um, maybe even more than that, around 1950s, but possibly even before. There was times that it was recorded of herds of sable in certain areas within the Greater Kruger, and that is a crazy thought to think that so many could fill up plains with their numbers. But as things have changed, ecosystems have changed, humans have inhabited areas and put up fences, and so certain adjustments have been made. So sable habitat has, I suppose, been negatively affected. It has, and work is being done to help with that. And it's fascinating that they actually need water, definitely. They're not completely water independent. They need to have water close by. They basically would drink every day. Now, this giraffe is running. Have they all just maybe one ran and then they all decided to run, or has something else arrived here at the waterhole that made them get a fright? I'm just giving a second to see. I do think that sometimes one reacts and then they all just follow suit because they are very much, um, they'd rather be safe than sorry. So even if there's a thought of a potential threat, or maybe the wind rustled a leaf and one sable decided to move off, the giraffe followed suit. No one wants to be left behind. Well, it sounds like the hippo is still at Rosie, so let's go have a look there, and we might hop over to somewhere else after that. So this hippo has been hanging out here for a little while now. It is good to know that he's moved from one side of the waterhole to the other, although it does look just as dry as the part that's sticking out of the water looks just as dry as the first time we saw it. Daisy, you want to know about the social structure of sable antelopes. So it's quite an interesting one. There will be a herd like we saw there with, it's actually a matriarchal social structure with dominant females sort of in a ranking, with them, living together. And then there will be a dominant bull, as we saw the biggest one there. There's only one at this time, and on Mabula itself there is only that one herd of sable antelope. But let's say in a larger area where you would have more bulls around, they would, similar to that of wildebeest, establish a territory that they will defend, and usually choose an area that's got very good grazing that would attract these herds of females, just like wildebeest actually. Except with wildebeest herds, there's no real matriarchal structure in terms of hierarchy between females. They sort of all just are together. Whereas, so in that way, there's similarities with wildebeest, but there's also that which is different. So the male defends a territory that he holds, and he waits for the females to come into that area, and then he'll stick with them and mate with them. Um, and he does that by making sure that he tries to get a really good territory that has some lovely grass and things like that. And like we saw there at Mabula, he's now sticking with that group so that he can mate with those females. He doesn't have any competition at this stage, so he's very happy to just stick with that group of ladies at the moment. Lucky bee, it's a great question. I mean, we can see them there on this hippo's nose, some serious um, whiskers, as you would, or hair that sits there. And I mean, I think, as with most animals, those hairs around the face is really for um, to sense what's around them or in front of them. So it's a way that can pick up things that are a little bit close to the face that they might need to be aware of. So whether even it's while they're grazing or even in the water, if something swims by close, they've got that sensitivity or those feelers, let's say, that are out in front of them. Wow, look at all those, are those flies? So at the edge where the water meets his skin, on the left hand side there, it looks like a whole bunch of flies are just sitting there. I don't know if they're drinking or trying to get the moisture from his skin that's been absorbed from the water. Spuss, yes. So when it comes to hippos, there's also a hierarchy, particularly among the males. So they will have rankings, and males will then fight for the top rank, to be the dominant bull within a pod, that they can then mate with the females. So, from what I've seen, the females are pretty relaxed. They don't tend to have a particular leader or a ranking of between the females themselves. They all hang out, and the most important thing to them is their babies that they need to look after and protect from all the other hippos, and as well as other threats. But they also need to make sure, because other male hippos, if a new one becomes dominant, will kill the female calves. Oh well, not sorry, the female's calves, not just the female calves, so that he can breed and pass on his own genes. So she has a lot of, a lot to be aware of and look after for her babies. So yes, there is somewhat of a hierarchy, particularly in the male space for hippo. I think Nadine's going to do a bit of a scan around. We're going to see if there's any birdies here at Rosie's. It's always a good spot to spot some little feathered friends, sorry. Doesn't look like this boy's moving anywhere, so we can definitely come back just now. I can definitely hear plenty of birds, some weavers. I could hear chinspot batis just now. There was a palace is calling as well, so there's definitely movement. We just have to find one that's staying in one spot long enough to put on camera. Right, let's head back over to Juma. It's incredible to see in the space of just a few weeks how it's gotten green, but it's also now gotten very thick. I mean, even just looking at the view we just had, looking over those sort of clear areas, what used to be clear areas now, sure, there's a lot of leaves and grass. And here we have a marabou stork that seems to be fishing, I suppose, is what one would call that. Oh, was that a stick? don't know if that is that a fish or is it a stick. I can't actually tell at this point. If it is a fish, I feel like this bird is now playing with its food, which is not necessarily a very good thing. It is. It looks like it's a catfish. So Nadine's just told me that this morning this bird caught a fish and it didn't look like it actually ate it. So I wonder if it's not the same one. It does look very stiff, which would lend itself to having been dead for a while, possibly. Catherine, you have obviously been watching the sparrow's talk for a while, and you say that if he keeps eating, he's going to burst. Well, that is a fair point. So he must be careful because we don't want him to pop. Bushman, you're asking what has been the most unusual bird that I've seen in the Sabi Sands? That is. I have to think about that a little bit. I must say, I didn't see it, but I know that it was seen and I saw it on the show. So I think one of the most unusual ones that was seen this year was the African cuckoo hawk by Cedric. A few months ago. I mean, that to me was spectacular. I would love to see that. For myself, though, I would probably say, not that it's very unusual, but it was a big find for me to see for the first time, was a black cuckoo. So that was very cool, and I was very happy that I was able to track it down and have it fly over my head. So that was a big lifer tick for me. But I'm going back to Juma at the end of this week, and I am looking forward to now really getting into the heart of summer and having so many more of the migrants here and active that we might get some very, very special ones. I know that a Pell's fishing owl has been heard on dam cam before. That would also be not necessarily unusual, but just rare. We usually find them more along, rivers where they would have their big sort of resident nesters. I'm just thinking if there's anything else. There we have some impalas with their little lambs. More and more of them every single day are popping out, quite literally. Well, why not? Let's head over to Jabalani with a terrapin. This is also a great spot. We often see some exciting things here. And right now there's a terrapin that's sunbathing on the bank of the waterhole. I remember the leopard sighting that we had here. Goodness me, that was incredible. I was actually at Juma doing the On Safari show. And I remember the On Safari show was always on the monitor screen behind that we used to play the clips from for the show. And I turned around and I was like, oh my word, that's a leopard. No, there's two leopards. It was very unexpected. There are two little shelled creatures here. We're just trying to check if they are tortoises or terrapins actually. I think the one on the right looks very terrapin-like with the shape of the shell. The one on the left, though, may be more of a tortoise, just by the coloration. Maybe not a leopard tortoise, but more specs hinged or speaks hinged, depending how you pronounce that. Oh, Catherine, I hope you do as well. How exciting to be going to Ngala soon. And of course, in the summertime, the migrants will very well be around, and you might even get some special sightings around that area. It's a wonderful reserve. That is where I saw my first Eurasian golden oriole, near the safari lodge in the Mapanis. Actually flew across the road, as well as a thick-billed cuckoo that I also saw there. Neil, you're asking about the trees that we commonly see now when we're driving through Djuma Game Reserve. So, if I understand your question correctly, probably one of the most common bushes, tree type bushes that we see around is either magic worries. They have a very wavy leaf and a very, very common tree that we see all over. And then also silver cluster leaves is another one. Depending on the area, depending on the road you go on, certain trees will be more common than others. Then another tree that comes out with some very luminescent green leaves at this time are the bush willows. So both, most commonly the red bush willow, but also the large fruited, and then the russet as well are quite common. The bigger trees that we see very often are, of course, marula trees, and then there are jackalberries and tambuatis as well, leadwoods as well, especially along the Mulwati drainage line. The fact that these two are sitting here very, very still and sort of just enjoying the sun leads me to believe they are terrapins. Just because usually with tortoises, although they are reptiles, they just tend to be on the move. So come here, have some water, move back, start feeding or moving to a different spot. And really see them just sitting next to a water hole practicing this type of behavior. I don't think the camera was shaking quite a bit when we're going closer, so we're just going to stay at this distance. Well, one waterhole that we have been enjoying so much is Tembi, so let's head over there. Looks like all these impalas have definitely wanted to find the shade today, as well as the elephant bull in the background. Oh, it's not only impalas. There are some nyalas there as well. Look at that. You can see they are the ones with the stripes and a few little dots as well. And that is very clear difference there between nyala and impala now. Oh, that is very cute. Some baby impalas. Already you can actually see a size difference, it seems, between the ones that were born maybe a week earlier than another one. It just looks like the one in the middle seems to be bigger to me. Well, what a scene for you to give you some perspective of size. An impala with the oxpecker, and then a big Eddie bull, the one with the floppy ear that we've come to know here at Tembi now. There's also sometimes some very good bird life around at Tenby as well. We don't always get to see it. There does seem to be a little wader there on the left. That was, I wonder if it was a three-banded plover actually. I loved hearing the gorgeous bushshrike calling here the other day. That was wonderful. Oh wow, she is about to burst. I feel like I say that about every pregnant impala at the moment, but she really is huge. And her as well. Wow. Patricia, do all antelopes have the same breeding pattern? No, not at all. I mean, for example, in Nyala and Impala, Nyalas have a breeding season and Nyalas don't. Impalas have a breeding season. Sorry, I'm not sure if I used the wrong name there. And Nyalas don't. So Impalas all drop their lambs now from sort of mid-November to mid-December. And the Nyalas can breed any time of the year, actually. Was it just me, or did it look like that female's belly was moving? I wonder if the little one is kicking a bit inside there. Also, was actually asked an interesting question yesterday, which I didn't get to talk about, which was you know, mammals or animals going into labor. So yes, particularly mammals who have the type of giving birth where contractions are necessary with regards to a placenta, and the way the baby is born is that those muscles actually contracting and then it's going through the birth canal and eventually coming out. And so that is part of what nyalas and every mammal will do and go through here in Africa, at least. All right, well, let's head back over to Juma. So I'm sure we'll be joined by the Africam cameras soon, everyone. We're just sorting out some things on the tech side. But in the meantime, we will scan around and see if there's anything. Oh, hello, little squirrel. I think these are our friends from the start of the show today. Definitely still hanging out around their home. Jan, you're absolutely right. The camouflage is incredible, and it is part of many small creatures' defense mechanisms is being able to camouflage and blend in. If we think of some of the lizards or other small um, things that have incredibly detailed patterning on, actually, and how they can blend in and look just like bark. I think of the tree agamas that I saw on my last morning at Juma last week. And here we have this little squirrel that's very much the colors of this Maruda tree. Oh, were you falling asleep there, little one? Oh, there comes the other one. Wonderful. Let's head up to Kenya and see what's happening at Eldonyo. Well, this is always such a wonderful scene to see so many giraffes coming here to drink and just look at the dramatic sky. Definitely some rain on its way here at Oldonyo. Perhaps the rains have actually come in now. This is sort of the last little bits of cumulus clouds that are following after. Alright, well, it's wonderful to see what looks to be Mount Kilimanjaro peeping through in the background. But let's head back over to our squirrel family at Juma. Well, I do promise they were there, everyone. They got a little bit camera shy when we said we were coming back. Hopefully soon they'll pop out their little faces again. It's interesting how the texture of that bark almost looks like a rock All right, well, we're going to wait to see if they pop out. And in the meantime, let's head over somewhere else. I thought Rosie's pan. Here we go to the hippo, who now has a terrapin friend that has arrived. Looks like a little common sandpiper as well. Or is it a three-banded plover? One of the two. But I always love when the terrapins pop out onto the hippo's back. And it's always fascinating how they manage to walk out of the water. Ah, it is a three-banded plover. There we go. Stretch out the neck. And sometimes it looks like they're doing sort of out of water swimming. But that is the way that they can move. Not sure if it's just enjoying stretching out its limbs one at a time. And you see, actually, quite interestingly, just have a look at its head, how it has to turn its head sideways to go into the shell. One of the differentiating features between terrapins and tortoises and turtles is the fact that when it retracts its head, it actually has to turn it sideways to fit inside its shell. It really is quite fascinating how it moves itself around. Like, there's clearly times where it's purposefully walking, and then it seems to be other times where it just stretches out its legs and its neck. Adrian, you'd like to know what the main predators for a terrapin are. I must say there probably aren't too many, just because these particular creatures have a very smelling sort of excretion. Ooh, plops, away it goes. And also, of course, that tough shell makes it a little bit tricky, but there might be birds of prey that would be able to hunt them. Maybe even something like a leopard if it's desperate. I suppose it would have more predators when it's still very small in comparison to once it's fully grown. And also, of course, terrapin eggs, much like any reptile eggs, can be eaten by a lot of other things, like, for example, water monitor lizards. Oh, there we go. It's back. I think this is the same one. Well, this has been a lot of fun watching this terrapin here. Let's head over to the beautiful Stony Point. Oh, wow. Birds, birds, birds. So it looks to be one kelp gull there on the right. You can see how much bigger it is. And then I think they all terns. Goodness knows which ones. I'll see if there's any ones that maybe have a little bit of different coloration or something. But I know one of the common ones that we see, something like a sandwich tern. But there's also, I think they're the ones who have like the little headsets on their heads, which I don't see at all. These all look very plain. So I'll just have to check for distribution what on the west coast is quite familiar here. I know there can also be other gulls around. These could also be heart-lobed gulls. They seem to be resident here around Betty's Bay all year. Although I can't see the coloration with the red beak and red legs, but they are dark. And I think with the light at the moment, this could very well be what we're seeing here. So not terns at all, but rather gulls. Just not a kelp gull, but a heart-lobed gull. Joanne, I know that Stony Point is your favorite place to come to. I'm glad we could pop in here to see these gulls. But it's interesting to note the size difference between these heart-lobed gulls and then that kelp gull that we saw briefly. A male, he's got the black and white and a very prominent big sort of orange beak with a little red dot on it. And gulls love to be in groups like this, and they sort of spend time out at sea and look for food, and then they'll come back and rest like this on banks and or rocks, should I say, and do the preening that's necessary after a lot of flying and diving into the water, etc. Catherine, you say the waves are inviting. I must say the sea's looking very nice and calm today. So it does invite you in, but don't be deceived. It will be icy, ice cold. You know, our dusty friends always hang out around these spots. There they are. Peeping out, enjoying. Well, I suppose they're trying to warm up. It does look a little bit chilly. It's amazing how still they can stay as well. I actually thought the camera had frozen there for a second. But this little Dussie is really just statuesque in the rocks. And this is where they live, all throughout these rocks, in the little crevices and gaps between the boulders. They're very adaptive animals. They can thrive in so many different habitats. We've even got them in the road, close to my parents' house in the streets, using sort of the storm drains. They're living in that. So they can really live in all sorts of places in and amongst human civilization as well. Oh, wonderful. Let's head back over to Rosie's for an Ellie that's a little bit thirsty. Well, hopefully this one doesn't get cheeky and chase off the hippo. We know that sometimes these young boys like to do that. I'm not sure if there's any other elephants around. Could be just this one boy on his own, but probably there are some others that are somewhere nearby, whether it's part of a bachelor herd or even a herd that he's been pushed out of that are sort of he's still hanging around with, but a fair distance away from. Jav Bunny, lovely to hear from you. Hello. You say that you haven't seen Izulwini in a while. He has wandered from Pridelands to Naledi in the past. Now, for those of you who may not know, Izulwini is the name of an elephant bull that's quite iconic at a location that we used to have as part of our live drives called Pridelands, which is in the Hoedspruit area, part of the Greater Kruger region. And yes, he's a fantastic bull, some beautiful tusks and some very special sightings that have been had with him in the past. Now, because this is an open system, he's moved to and has been seen, I believe, now, thanks to Jive Bunny's info, on another location, a camera called Naledi, which is also part of the Greater Kruger, not too far from each other. Oh, I can hear European bee eaters, and I think they've been flying past the camera every now and again, coming down for a drink. We'll see if this elephant decides to do anything here. I can hear Deirdre's cuckoo calling. That's always lovely. They're the European bee eaters. Quite loud there now. You can see them flying past. I absolutely love their call. I think it's one of those amazing sort of sounds of summer. You know that they return when I hear that call after sort of 6 months of not hearing them. And then I hear, oh, I know that call. What is it again? And European bee eaters, they're back. Dylan, so that's a very interesting question that you've asked with regards to elephants. Are both male and female elephants equally territorial? So when it comes to elephants, we don't actually refer to them as being territorial whatsoever. So they are not territorial animals. They have areas which they tend to hang out in, which can be very large. We refer to them as home ranges, but they don't display any territorial behavior. They don't scent mark. They don't actively defend an area, as in, I'm here, I don't want you in here either, and then they'll fight. They don't do that, unlike other animals that are territorial, for example, lions and leopards. But when it comes to elephants, they're happy to share area with multiple other elephants. It doesn't bother them, and they don't show any aggressive signs towards one another with regards to protecting their territories. However, when it comes to male elephants, they can fight. In fact, they can have some deadly encounters with one another, but that's all to do with determining dominance, not territory. And that is to decide who is the most dominant male and therefore who can mate with the females if one doesn't want to submit. So I hope that answers your question, Dylan. Let's head back over to Juma. Oh, how cute! Summer warthogs, everyone. This is lovely to see warthogs looking so healthy, enjoying such lovely grass again. I'm sure we might see them coming down to the water as well for a bit of a mud wallow. They do look like they've had one already today. I wonder if this warthog is not coming for its spa appointment. I think it might be. Oh, definitely. Look at the other ones already booked into its spa appointment. Having the mud treatment. Ellie Lover, you want to know why warthogs bend their front legs when they're feeding? So it's just about getting lower down, really. Getting their mouth closer down to the ground. Often they might need to dig. Sometimes they might want to just get some of the shorter pieces of grass and need a bit better leverage so that their snouts can get closer down to the grass. And that is why they do that. They have very short necks. So if we think of something like a zebra that also grazes down on the ground, they don't need to go onto their knees because their necks are long enough. Whereas if we look at this warthog, it almost has no neck. It's almost just head straight into its legs. Pink Ellie, you say thank you to all of us. You are loving the show. I'm so glad. We are enjoying this warthog that is showing off its mud wallowing skills, trying to get it into all the nooks and crannies there. Looks like that a warthog is moved into a few impalas that were also hiding out in some shade. I believe it is very warm in the Lowveld today, around 38 degrees Celsius. Well, we're going to head over somewhere that I think is slightly cooler. Let's go to Stony Point. Oh, wow, looks like the birds have found something to eat. We've got these gulls and an Egyptian goose. I'm not sure if it's just maybe a fresh piece of kelp that's been washed in. And maybe there's lots of insects around. I always think there's like alive animals in the water, but it's just this kelp which is found along the west, sort of western and western southern part of the coastline of South Africa, associated with these sort of colder seas. And these gulls actually like a lot of the invertebrates that are associated with the kelp that we see here. That's why we see them hanging around. Yes, it is fascinating actually. But Egyptian geese are everywhere, and it includes sea water. So they not only freshwater associated birds, but they are very much along the coast as well, and are seen around seawater and do their thing here, breed and continue very successfully. Oh, Jason, a very happy birthday for you yesterday. You said you've just turned 53 years old, and if you were an elephant, you'd be on your last set of teeth. That is quite accurate. Fortunately, you're not one. Hopefully, your teeth will last you many more good years. They are having an absolute feast. All right, let's head back up to the Lowveld and see an elephant at Rosie's. Ah, it almost looks like a repeat of the sighting that we had earlier, except the hippo's now got its head underwater. It's funny, he went this way and obviously maybe did a loop and then came back for more to drink. Let's head back over to Tembe. There are so many babies. Wow. And there still are more to come, but it's wonderful to see so many impala lambs around. Interesting to see. I think that's the one that has its floppy ears. Oh, hi. They are so huge for its little head. Sarah, it is lovely, isn't it? They are so sweet. And they form those little, what we call nurseries, where all the little ones hang out together. Let's head over to Flounder's Lodge. Oh, this is very cute. Some Egyptian goslings here for a drink. Oh, adorable. I always love watching Egyptian geese with their goslings and sort of keeping track of how many of them survive and grow up. But it is just so sweet to see such cute little ones around. I mean, this is the time of year, everybody. It is amazing how many young of so many animals we do get to see. We're also even going to start seeing baby chameleons. They're usually born around or hatch around December time. So January, February, we'll start to see little baby miniature ones. A short little visit to the waterhole, and now they're going to scurry off following mom. let's head back over to Juma to end off the show. Well, our marabou stork is still busy here at the waterhole. I'm not sure what it's trying to achieve. I don't know if it's eaten its fish yet or not. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's still very much there. Maybe it just enjoys some very good preparation. Has to get it to the right consistency before it swallows it down the hatch. It's actually quite a small fish. It definitely isn't too big for this stork to eat. So I'm not sure why it's playing with its food so much today. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here at Live at the Waterhole. It's been wonderful to have you all with us for the show. A rather interesting one, quite a lot of variety. And I'll be back with you all again tomorrow, same time, same place. We will do it again and see. It looks like there might be a hot day tomorrow, but a bit of change of weather coming. So we'll see what that means for our waterhole show. And looking forward to that. I wish you all a pleasant day or evening ahead, depending where you are in the world. And I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye for now.